3.2 is least common multiple. Okay, there's two different ways to find the least common multiple. And the first way is to list all the multiples. Let's take the numbers 6 and 9. Okay, to find them listing the multiples of 6 would be 6, 12, doing it times 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, like that. 6, 12, 18, 24. Those are multiples of 6. The multiples of 9, you do 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, 90. Okay, we have a multiple right here. There's your smallest one. If you had kept going, there's also a multiple of 36. Okay, but what you want is your least, your smallest common multiple. So the least common multiple of 6 and 9 is 18. Okay, this is the way to do it, listing the multiples. There's also a way to do it with prime factorization. So let's take the same two numbers, and we're going to write them using prime numbers. Remember how we do 6 divided by 2 is 3, so 6 is 2 times 3. 9 is 3 times 3. Okay, the least common multiple, what you're going to do is you're going to put the most times that a factor shows up in each row. Okay, so the most times 2 shows up is 1 and none. So the most times the 2 shows up is 1. The most times a 3 shows up. We have 1 here in this row, 2 in this row. The most times in each row is 2. So we put 2 3s. There's no other factors, so we multiply this out. You can say 2 times 3 is 6, times 3 is 18. Or you could do it in another order. You could say 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18. In the order you multiply it, you'll get the same number. Now let's do this with bigger numbers to show how it is easier to do. Let's use big numbers like, maybe not huge. Let's do 36 and 48. Okay, you could list the multiples, could maybe take a long time. Let's do this the prime factorization way, this way. So let's write the prime factorization of each number here. 36 divided by 2 is 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9. 9 divided by 3 is 3. We have a prime on top, so we're done. 2, 2, 3, 3. Putting them in order from small to large. Okay, 48 divided by 2 is 24. Divide that by 2 is 12. Let's say we want to divide by 3 now. We'll divide by 3 and get 4. And then divide that by 2 is 2. Still put them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4 2s, and 1 3. Okay, now the most times the 2 shows up, we have 1, 2, and this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to have 4 of these 2's in our least common multiple. The most times a 3 shows up, we have 1 and we have 2. The most was 2. 1 and 2, so we have 2. Okay, so we're going to multiply this out to get our least common multiple. If you realize right here is 48, 4 2s and a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. That part of it is 48, so 48 times 3 is our number. 48 times 3 is 144. Now that could have taken a while if we would have listed multiples. Sometimes you may have to list 15, 20 multiples before you get one. If you do it this way, it's easier for some of the numbers like this. Let's do one where we're getting the least common multiple of more than 2 numbers. Let's do where we're doing the least common multiple of 4 different numbers. Okay, that's a lot of multiples to list. So let's do it with the prime factorization. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. We've got 3 times 5. 18, we said 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. 2 times 3 times 3 is 18. And 20 divided by 2 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So prime factorization of 20 is 2, 2, 5. Okay, now let's do the least common multiple. We have 1, 2, we have 2 2s and 2 2s. So 1, 2, 2. The biggest is 2. The most 2s is 2. Okay, let's do the 3s. We have 1, 1, 2. So 2 3s is the most. The 5s, 1, 1. So 1 is the most. You can do these in any order. I like to see if there's a 10. I like to take 5 and 2 is 10. 2, 3, 3, we have 9 times 2 is 18. 10 times 18 is 180. Okay, so you could do those in any order. No matter what order you do them in, you're going to come up with 180. So seeing this, you know you would have had to list 18. You would have had to do 10 multiples of 18. You would have had to do like 9 of these. It would have been a lot of multiples to list. So doing it the prime factorization way is definitely quicker when you have a lot of numbers. The reason we're going to need least common multiples is for the next section when you're doing fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So if you had fractions that were 1/12 plus 1/15 plus 1/18 plus 1/20, you could not add them or you can't do any adding or subtracting without a common denominator. So that's what we're doing for least common multiple. You need that to be able to do that so you can do the next section. Okay, now we're going to figure out how to rewrite a fraction with a given denominator. Let's say we want the denominator of 24. Okay, if your fraction was 2/3, how would you write that with the denominator, which is the bottom, of 24? Okay, we know if we multiply by 1, we get the same number. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by 1 by using a fraction here. Okay, 3 times what gives us 24? 3 times 8 gives us 24. If we multiply this by 1, which is 8 over 8, it doesn't change the value of the fraction. So since we multiplied the bottom by 8, we need to multiply the top times 8. 2 times 8 is 16. So this has the same value as 2/3. Let's do the same with 3/4. What would that be as a fraction with a denominator of 24? Okay, 4 has to be multiplied by 6, so we're going to multiply the top times 6. 3 times 6 is 18, so this has the same value as 3/4. Okay? So anytime you have something where you change the bottom, let's say we have the fraction 1/2 and we wanted to write it with a denominator of 10. Okay, what would we multiply 2 by to get 10? You have to multiply it by 5, so you need to multiply the top by 5. So 5/10 has the same value as 1/2. Okay, so you have to figure out what you multiply by to get this. There may be a bigger number, like say 7/12, and we want to get that with the denominator of 144. Okay, you're going to have to figure out what you multiplied this by to get 144. And if you don't know, you need to do the division to figure that out. 12 times 12 is 144. So we have to do the top times 12. 7 times 12, and if you don't know that, most people don't know that off the top of their head, go ahead and show your multiplication. 7 times 2 is 4, that's 14. 7 times 1 is 7, and 1 is 8. So 84 over 144 has the same value as 7 over 12. Okay, let's, if we're given two fractions, and it wants you to find the least common multiple, okay, these problems right here, 51, 52. These say find the least common multiple of the denominators. So you don't even have to look at the top, you're just looking at the denominators. Find the least common multiple of these two numbers, of 400 and 1800. Or find the least common multiple of 600 and 4000. So if we did 51, we would find the least common multiple of 400 and 1800. So if it says find the least common multiple of the denominators, given this is number 51, 25 over 400, and the other one is 38 over 1800. So we're just finding least common denominator, or least common multiple, of 400 and 1800. So we need to write those in prime factorization form. 400 divided by 2 is 200. 200 divided by 2 is 100. 100 divided by 2 is 50. 50 divided by 2 is 25. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So we're prime on top, we're done. 1, 2, 3, 4 2's, and 1, 2, 2 5's. Okay, 1800 divided by 2 is 900. 900 divided by 2 is 450. 450 divided by 2 is 225. That will not divide by 2 anymore. It will actually divide by 3, but 5 will be easier right now. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 5. Into 22 is 4. It's 20. Into 25 is 5. So 5 times 45 is 225. Divide this by 5 is 9. Now it won't divide by 5 anymore, but we can divide by 3 easily now. Divided by 3 is 3. Now we have a prime on top and we're done. We had the 2's, we had 1, 2, 3. 3 2's, 2 3's, 3 3, 3 3, and 1 2, 2 5's. These should be separated with a dot. Okay, the 2's for our least common multiple. We have 4 here, and we have 3. The most is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 3's, we have 2 and none. 2 is the most. The 5's, we have 2 and 2. So 2 is the most. Okay, if we look at this, 4 2's and 2 5's is 400. So 400 times 9 will give us our common denominator, which is 3,600. So if you listed them, you would have got that, or doing it this way, you get that. So if we were actually going to add these two fractions, we would have had to get a common denominator, which is 3,600. Okay, and it looks like that's about all of 3.2, which is the least common multiples.